It's hard to think of a film that has bigger implications for Marvel going forward than Antman and the Wasp Quantumania, a movie that introduces the next big antagonist for the MCU, Kang the Conqueror. This movie is probably the one I look forward to the most in Phase 5, at least this year. I personally love the Ant-Man series. However, this film gives us an underwhelming introduction to a massively important character and left me wishing that it went a different route. This is full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, please click away. And then you can come back after you've seen it. But if you're one of those who have, or just don't really care, let's get into it. Now, before I get into the rant, I just want to say that this is not a bad film. A lot of these things that I may say might make it seem like I didn't like this film. I enjoyed watching it. I truly did. And sure, there was a lot of things that I didn't necessarily like, but the movie is entertaining and has lots of good moments. Like when Ant-Man goes to retrieve the core, or when Janet explained Kang and how he got into the quantum realm, or the Kang v Ant-Man fist fight at the end. All these moments seem to get lost in the disappointment and the unmet expectations. So I just wanted to say that really quick, and don't let the bad stuff, don't let the disappointment blind you to the good parts of this film. Now that that's out of the way, let's just get into the plot. The movie starts with Scott Lang living it up. He's pretty much just coasting off the fact that he helped fight Thanos. He wrote a book about it. He's getting free stuff from like coffee shops. He's living it up. He's living his best life. He's not doing anything. The rest of the family, however, except for Janet, have been helping Cassie study the quantum realm and try to help her find a way to communicate with it. This is in hopes that they can study the quantum realm without actually having to go back in it. However, when Janet's told this, she is terrified at this idea and tells them to stop, but it's already too late. Y'all have seen it in the trailers. They get sucked into the quantum realm, and the gang gets split up. Cassie and Scott run into a tribe living down there, and Hope, Janet, and Hank go and look for one of Janet's old rebel friends. We are then introduced to Bill Murray's character, who betrays Janet and then immediately gets killed off. Anyway, we go back to Scott and Cassie, and we see that Kang has sent forces to hunt them down and capture them, and specifically has sent a being known as the Hunter to find them. It is then revealed that the Hunter is MODOK. And it was a pretty cool introduction, I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty cool. MODOK then faces Scott, and it's revealed that MODOK is Darren Cross from the first movie. The leaks were true. Whatever. We then go back to Hope, Janet, and Hank, and finally get an explanation into Kang. Why he's there, why he's in the quantum realm. He was exiled to the quantum realm because it's a place outside of space and time. I didn't really think about that going into the movie, but it makes a lot of sense. He and Janet begin to work together in hopes of getting out of the quantum realm. What they do is they're working on this core that will allow Kang and his chair, his famous chair from the comics, to travel anywhere in the multiverse. That's what they're hoping to do. They finally fix Kang's chair, and because Kang's chair is like mind controlled or telepathic, I don't know how to explain it, but it works through someone's mind. When Janet touches it, she sees into Kang's mind and sees all the worlds that he has destroyed. Sees that he's not just Kang, but he's Kang the Conqueror. She then decides to abandon all hope of getting out and stops Kang by enlarging the core with Pym particles and stops Kang from escaping. We are then taken back to Scott and Cassie, now imprisoned by Kang, who reveals to Scott that he needs to recover the core to save Cassie. And Scott can do this because he has Pym particles. Scott does this, and Janet, Hope, and Hank try to save him, but Kang stops them and captures both the core and Janet. At this point of the film, I was pretty happy with how everything was being handled and explained. I loved the quantum realm. I loved Kang and his interactions with the characters. I loved his cockiness and how they were showing him to be a really powerful character, someone that everyone feared. I think what I enjoyed about Kang is perfectly summarized in the scene where he's talking with Scott about retrieving the core. And Scott's like, "Do you know who I am? I'm an Avenger." And Kang says something along the lines of, "Oh, are you one that I've killed?" Like, it really nails into your head that this is a type of villain that we've never seen in the MCU so far. Like, sure, Thanos technically killed a couple of Avengers, but we've never seen anything like Kang before. I was really happy with everything in the beginning of the film. But then the third act comes around and everything just starts crumbling down. We see Team Ant-Man and the rest of the quantum realm come together to fight the forces of I almost said Thanos. Kang. Brief side point, but movies need to stop using rally speech scenes. They're really lame. They're always really poorly done. Unless you can write it and perform it like it was done in Andor, don't even try. Even if you want to do all of that, Cassie should not be the one speaking. Majority of the quantum realm doesn't even know who she is. Why in the world would they choose to fight, to lay down their lives when she's talking to them? They have no association with her. Heck, there's a freaking tribal leader with her when she's broadcasting the message. Why don't they just switch places? It's a minor pet peeve of mine, but anyway, brief side note. But for a bit, it seems like the heroes are winning and then Kang gets on the battlefield. I was so ready when he got down on the ground and put his mask on. Like, whoo boy. I was ready to see him absolutely dominate the heroes, shut it all down, stop the rebellion just by himself. And for the most part, he does, until a group of futuristic ants show up and run him over and take him out of the fight.
You serious?
It's anyway. Also, at this point, MODOK decides to switch sides and to try to stop Kang, but Kang kills him. Yeah, so anyway, after this, the heroes begin to try to make their way home, and just as Scott's about to enter the portal that takes him back, Kang pops up and starts fighting him. This is where we get the fist fight from the trailers, and I thought that this was actually pretty well done. I believed that in this moment, Ant-Man was going to try to close the portal and sacrifice himself to save his family, because even he knows he can't beat Kang. He's aware of this. As sad as this would have been to watch, to see Ant-Man die, or at least be trapped, it would be a great send-off and would really help establish Kang as a real threat again after the absolute joke that was the futuristic ant scene. But then Wasp comes out of the portal and saves Scott, and together they fight Kang until he collides with the core and it blows up and kills him. Or at least we think he's dead. That's what the post-credit scene said. I was thinking, okay, this isn't as good of an ending, but at least both Wasp and Ant-Man sacrificed themselves and are now stuck in the quantum realm. That's a decent ending. That can set up a couple things in Phase 5. But then Cassie reopens the portal and they're both able to just go back home safely. They're all fine.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb.
I have so many problems with this third act, which is so sad because I think if you make a couple changes, if you decide not to do a couple things, it results in a better movie. First off, none of the sacrifices have any consequences. Neither Ant-Man nor Wasp have any consequence to their actions at the end. Everything just works out. Like, this isn't the way to conclude a trilogy. It feels wrong. Sacrifices need to carry some sort of weight, some sort of consequence. Also, killing Kang, I thought, was an incredibly dumb decision. I know that there are a ton of different variants of Kang out there, but killing him here just doesn't sit right. In my opinion, we need to establish one Kang and the threat that he poses before we start getting into all the others. I know that Kang is a multiversal villain, but it would have been nice to follow this one for some time. Especially Kang the Conqueror. Like, I feel like if there's any Kang that you should be following, it should be this one. Especially since it's a part of the main MCU that we've been following. And part of the problem as well is he didn't go out in a good way. There should have been no way that Ant-Man and the Wasp were able to defeat him. There should be no way. He is an Avengers, heck, a multiversal threat. Ant-Man should have gotten his booty handed to him. But instead he walks home again with little to no consequence. It's just a really sad way to introduce the idea of Kang when at the beginning it started off so well. In my opinion, it should have ended with Ant-Man and the Wasp and the rest of the gang running away in fear because they saw what Kang was capable of. Kang should have technically won. Sure, he can still be trapped at the end. They could still be successful in stopping his plans, but not defeating him. Because there should be no way that these characters are able to defeat him. This just isn't the way to introduce a main villain, especially one that's supposed to be the main villain through a 3-phase series. Another problem is with the other villain, MODOK. To be honest, I slowly became okay and actually liked the fact that they made Darren MODOK. And the problem with him wasn't the CGI they used on his face. I honestly don't know how you can make that look believable. I thought it was fine. If you keep that in mind, that I don't think we have the technology to be able to pull off a realistic looking way to make MODOK look like he did in the comics. So I got past that pretty easily. But the main problem with MODOK is that they made him a comedic relief character in a film that doesn't need comedic relief. You have Ant-Man, you have Hank, you have Hope, Janet, Cassie. They all bounce off one another. They all make jokes. You don't need another character to do that. And what's really sad is that they made him a comedic relief character and then just proceeded to kill him off. I'm starting to get really sick of Marvel wasting villains like this. MODOK plays a huge part in so many different things in the comics, and to make him just a side villain in one movie and to be done with him is such a shame. Again, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was entertaining. I liked a couple ideas it introduced and the way it explained certain things. I thought the whole family dynamic was done really well in this film. I thought the quantum realm looked really good, and I really liked being able to explore it and learn more about it. I really like Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, and to see more of that here was great. I think Jonathan Majors played Kang phenomenally, even if I didn't agree with all the decisions they made with his character. In conclusion, Marvel really needed this film to be received well, and, well, it wasn't. It starts off on a decent note, I'd say an even good note, but then because of a decent amount of questionable choices, it ends in a disappointing and unsatisfying way. It mishandles all the villains and diminishes the sacrifices the heroes make. Overall, even though this film isn't bad, it's a pretty underwhelming start to Phase 5, a phase that Marvel really needs to go well. But with all that being said, that's about it for me. Let me know down in the comment section below what you thought about the film. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Are you agreeing with the critics? What you think of Kang? Type it all down in the comment section below. As always, I love you guys. I hope you all have an amazing day. And until next time, peace out, bro skillets.